That's a little too far.
He's doing it on purpose, which is
Yes.
waiting for me to come in. I
You
was
are
trying to hold it. I was
absolutely
like,
correct.
I couldn't help.
I was seeing how long I could last. But he did it also just with the microphone on. It'd be like, that's how you do it. You need to also give the tissue to close the video. If you want to bring that. Second, you're gonna go full impression.
Well, I got some.
I totally forgot about that.
One minute.
1 minute. Okay, we'll go ahead and call to order the Kodiak Island Borough Assembly regular meeting of Thursday, June 1st, 2023 at 6:30 PM in the Assembly Chambers. And we have Major Dave Davies of the Salvation Army for the invocation. Please rise.
Thank you, Mayor Arndt. What a blessing to be able to have the door open, right? Join me, please. Gracious Heavenly Father, we bow our hearts and our minds before you. We give you the praise and glory. Father, we thank you for the many successful programs that we have going on throughout the Kodiak Island. We thank you for the men and women that are making that possible. And just now, Father, we ask this fresh anointing upon our mayor, each of our assembly members and staff. This is a time of excitement and suspense as we wait to find out who our new assembly member is. Father, we just ask your continued blessing upon us as we continue to do the work. In Jesus' name, we pray, amen.
Thank you. Will you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are gathered on the traditional homeland of the Supiaq-Alutiiq people, and we acknowledge the 10 tribes of the Kodiak-Alutiiq region. We recognize the Alutiiq culture that enriches our community to this day. Roll call, please.
Mr. Delgado.
Here.
Mr. Griffin. Mr. Ledoux.
Here.
Mr. Smiley.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Turner.
Here.
Mayor Arndt.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay. Approval of the agenda. Get a motion, Scott?
Move to approve the agenda and consent agenda.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second. The consent agenda consists of the regular meeting minutes of May 18th, 2023. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Next item we have is citizens' comments, and this is for agenda items not scheduled for public hearing and general comments. The local phone number is 907-486-3231. Toll-free number is 1-855-492-9202. And please come forward, sign in, and state your name for the record, and turn on the microphone before speaking. Please address all remarks to the assembly as a body and not to any member thereof. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Betty Walters, and I'm here to represent the senior citizens of Kodiak as I'm a member of the Board of Directors. This is the quarterly report for the end of March, so you'll have an idea of what's been happening with the money that you have given to us. There are 31 participants in the Island Cove program, and that's the program that is under the Senior Center, as you know. 4,416 congregate meals to 311 seniors, 13,156 home-delivered meals to 286 seniors, for a total of 17,572 meals to 597 seniors. We've provided 5,842 rides to 79 seniors and 766 assisted rides to 35 seniors. Provided 929 units of information and assistance to 204 seniors. 1,054 units of respite to 10 families, lifelines provided to 63 seniors. 698 units of chore service to 19 seniors. From an annual survey, these outcomes were reported from services seniors have received. 97% stated the senior center was important. 100% stated congregate or home-delivered meals improve their health and quality of life. 100% stated that they would recommend services provided by Senior Center. 80% stated services have assisted their remaining in the area of Kodiak. 75% stated services help them stay healthy and safe. 100% stated Island Cove services are essential to remain independent and live safely. Island Cove services decreased need for out-of-home placement by members. 100% stated chore services allowed them to be more independent. We thank you for your continued support as your borough funds are used to continue all the services that I just mentioned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Betty. Anyone else wishing to come forward, speak under citizens' comments?
Good evening, gentlemen and ladies. My name is Carlene McChesney. I don't know if it's too late, but I came to the meeting tonight because I wanted to recommend one of our local guys to be on your board. You know, we're to welcome the stranger, and I still do that. There was a lady at the Crab Festival that sat down in the booth, and I asked her, "Are you a local?" And she said, "No, Russia. That's my 7-year-old son." I said, "Welcome." I didn't ask any questions or say anything. I just smiled and went on my way. Well, we're to welcome the strangers, and to be honest with you, Shirley and Lloyd Ledoux were once strangers in Kodiak. and I've grown up knowing their son, and Lorna and Don Arndt were once strangers here, and Don became my husband's best friend, and I just love Lorna to death. So when I came into this room, the only two people I knew, though I've lived here all my life, were the Arndts and the Ledoux's. And I thank you for the job that you've done in Kodiak. Well, I was born and raised here, and Hazel Jones said that when I was born, the population of Kodiak was 400. That doesn't make me special. It's just that I've been here and I've had more conversations and worked with more people and laughed and loved and lost a lot on this island, and I love it here. What I would really like to see is more Kodiak people on this board, and I know others will have their turn. That's just going to happen. What I love about Ryan Sherritt is he's here at all of the meetings, and he doesn't have to be. He's not up there. So I think you should just give him a seat up there. But he has a lot of passion, and he has a lot of intellect, but he also has a strong sense of right and wrong, just as my mother did. And so I don't know if you've already voted or considered, but I think he'd work well with you folks. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlene, and that vote will be coming up later tonight. Thank you. Anyone else wish to come forward and speak under citizens' comments? Please do at this time. Any calls, Nova? No calls. With that, we'll go ahead and move on to awards and presentations. First is proclamation. This is of the Office of Mayor of the Kodiak Island Borough. Proclamation recognizing June as LGBTQIA+ Pride Month. Whereas Alaska led the way in recognizing equality as important to all Alaskans and was one of the territories to address discrimination and pass the first of its kind law in any American territory or state. And whereas all are welcome in the Kodiak Island Borough to live, work, play, and every family and individual deserves a place to call home where they are safe, happy, and supported by friends and neighbors. And whereas the Kodiak Island Borough denounces prejudice and discrimination as an affront to our fundamental values. And whereas it is imperative that all people in our community, regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression, feel valued, safe, empowered, accepted, and supported by their peers and community leaders. Whereas the Kodiak Island Borough strives to actively promote the principles of equality, liberty, and justice for all citizens in our community. Now, therefore, I, Scott Arndt, Mayor of Kodiak Island Borough, do hereby recognize June 2023 as Pride Month in Kodiak. Is Anthony here? Is there anything, if you'd like, Anthony, you can speak there, just got to turn the mic on.
I just wanted to say thank you all very much for recognizing June as Pride Month. On behalf of Kodiak Pride, thank you. I want to say that representation matters, but I also want to say the support of our allies matters just as much. So this means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Second proclamation is declaring June 11th through 17th of 2023 Invasive Species Awareness Week. Whereas Kodiak iconic environment includes terrestrial, freshwater, and maritime ecosystems supporting native populations of wild plants, fish, and wildlife, cultivated crops and livestock, and bountiful subsistence resources. And whereas the introduction and spread of harmful non-native invasive species can alter established natural systems, including the flow of water, the pattern of wildfires, the intensity of floods, and the richness of biodiversity. And whereas these impacts of invasive species on Kodiak's ecosystem can damage our land and water, harm the health of both humans and wildlife, affect the productivity of our natural resources, inhibit management of resources in Kodiak, erode their attractiveness as a tourism destination, and negatively impact the subsistence resources and practices which have been an integral part of our archipelago culture for millennia. And whereas the prevention of invasive species is far less costly than the removal of species once it has arrived or established, an educated public is essential and highly effective at detecting invasive species early, and whereas the Kodiak Cooperative Invasive Species Management Area Partnership works cooperatively with stakeholders to protect Kodiak by striving to prevent, detect, manage, and eradicate terrestrial and aquatic invasive species to safeguard Kodiak's unique and valuable resources, and ultimately our Alaska way of life. And whereas a community that is informed of the risk of vigilant against the appearance of and empowered to counter the nascent threat of invasive species represents a far more cost-effective response than spending millions of dollars to manage, control, and eradicate established infestations. Now, therefore, I, Scott Arndt, Mayor of Kodiak Island Borough, do recognize June 11th through the 17th, 2023, as Kodiak Invasive Species Awareness Week, and encourage all residents and visitors to learn more about and contribute to the prevention of invasive species in our borough, and thereby support a broad, efficient, and effective effort to protect the health and integrity of Kodiak's natural systems and human populations. Thank you. Matt, you were here. And I know Bly's here too. I'd like to recognize all of you there. Thank you. Sumi, thank you. And you're welcome to speak to on it here.
Matt Van Dale here, the Natural Resources Director for Shunak Tribe of Kodiak. This is also my first meeting hearing the land acknowledgement. Quite honor for that. That means a lot. And also thank you too for getting this proclamation on the agenda so quickly. We in Shunak, excuse me, pollen's seeming to get to me. We in Shunak remain very concerned about the presence of the invasive signal crayfish in the Buskin, and as well as the impacts that new invasive species could have on our ecosystem and our environment. And that's why it's very important to remain vigilant, as the proclamation said, and another reason why we appreciate so much that you have deemed Kodiak Invasive Species Awareness Week, because an empowered and educated public is really our first and best line of defense at holding the line against invasive species. And now that we've got crayfish here, our really only real hope to make a dent in the population is through a concerted and cooperative community effort. And that's where all of us in this room and listening in on the radio come in. Because we've got our permit here from Fish and Game, which is going to allow us to do community crayfishing derbies again. And we've got our first one coming up on June 17th, and you are all cordially invited. Rain or shine, last year when we did it in June, it was rather torrential downpour, but we still got several hundred crayfish out. We had about 50 to 60 people that showed up, and it was a lot of fun. It was a little cold, but it was a lot of fun. So if anyone would like more information or want to know how you can get involved, feel free to drop me a line or shoot me an email, and let's make this summer of slaying mud bugs. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sumi?
Hi, my name is Masumi. I am the Programs Assistant and Field Crew Leader for the Kodiak Soil and Water Conservation District. And I just wanted to say thank you very much for declaring Invasive Species Week. And it's not too late. I see on a daily basis when we do field work how the native wildlife and plants bounce back really quickly and they flourish once we eradicate invasive species there. And as you said in the proclamation, we live in a really special place and we should protect our very valuable natural resources. If you have any questions, you can visit kodiaksoilandwater.org or give us a call at 907-486-5574 or visit us in the Touch Tank building when it's open. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item we have is committee reports. Are there any committee reports? Seeing none, no public hearings. Next is manager's report. Amy.
Good evening, Mayor and Assembly. Your manager report is in front of you. Just wanted to go over some of the highlights. We met on Wednesday with the IBEW representatives to discuss the remaining items in negotiations, what we had an executive session about last week, and asked them to take those numbers to their membership as a whole. They're going to do that on Monday, June 5th. They're going to meet, they'll have the conference room downstairs available at noon and then meet out at Bayside at 5 p.m. And their representative said that I should hear something from them as early as Tuesday, the very next day, about how that went. So that vote will happen to approve it on Monday. The Bayside Fire Chief's last day was on Tuesday, May 30th. We had a small going away gathering for him that, of course, involved cake. And he said that he was going to leave his gear in the truck until 5:30 in the morning when Carol Scott was going to meet him and take him to the airport. And when I was driving in at 7:30, the Bayside fire truck was driving out towards the flats for a structure fire. So I'm sure that Carol Scott dropped him off and then had to go directly to a structure fire. So just wanted to say thank you to Carol Scott for stepping up and filling in. The fire chief recruitment for Bayside I've made a job offer. They countered, the fire board has accepted that counter and are willing to pay that amount. And that's on the agenda tonight, so we can talk more about that later. I included a picture of the perimeter of the airport fence that is going to be repaired next summer. The swimming pool evaluation, I hope you guys all got that in your email. It's a rather long and costly document, but we'll be discussing that at the work session next week. The leachate treatment plant building construction, the roof panels went on the 30th and the 31st, so that's getting closer to being done. And also on the agenda tonight, in the first resolution, we're going to be looking at finalizing that 30-year term loan so that we can finish the Stage 3 closure. So that's exciting. And then I think it's always interesting to see how many people are going to the Touch Tank. So in May, there was 689 visitors, and you can compare that to years of the past when we were open all of the time. And so that is attached to your manager's report as well. The only other thing I wanted to tell you about tonight is that this morning we did do an interview for a community development director. Interview went very well. This person has 4 years Alaska experience and had a very good interview. So our next step will be to rate that interview and decide if we want to have a second interview. And if we do, we're going to invite that candidate up to Kodiak to visit Kodiak and bring his spouse, if applicable, so they can see what Kodiak is like. And that's really all I have. You'll see the picture of the construction project overview, and then attached is the visitor statistics from KFRC.
Thank you, Amy. Any questions? Seeing none. Jeff.
Thank you. May I ask something?
Please.
Yeah. Just looking at the report, I appreciate the thoroughness of it. And I see that the next meeting of the Health and Facilities Advisory Board is scheduled for July 10th. I'm not going to be here for that meeting, but I'm wondering if there's been any work done on, we talked about in that meeting, increasing the manager's spending authority or limit for an emergency basis, if there's any update on that.
So we did contact the lawyer, Scott Erickson helped us write an ordinance for that, and then it just hasn't gotten advanced in agenda setting as of this point.
Go ahead.
I'd like us to consider at some point in the future adding that as an agenda item and having a discussion with the body about it.
It is my intent.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir.
Larry?
Just a quick question, and I'm really happy the Parks and Recreation Committee will be meeting after 2.5 years. The question I have is, it's scheduled for 2:30 p.m., and I think that's difficult for people who have jobs who are on the committee to take time off.
I think the last time that they met was that time frame,
Yes,
because
yep.
that's when the people wanted to meet, but I think that's up for discussion on
Good.
who the membership is. We actually have another applicant for that now, too, so we're going to be beyond the possibility of having a quorum. We might have an extra person, so that's very exciting.
That will be great. Thank you.
Yeah, Larry, that was based upon the time that previous committee wanted and typically met at. Any other discussion, questions? Okay. Messages from the Borough Mayor. The only thing I'd like is just to put out condolences to some of the families that we've lost friends recently. One of them is Weston Fields family, and the other is Walter Sargent family. And there's been some other friends I've lost, but those are long-time known family members of Kodiak. Thank you. Okay. Next is new business. We have resolutions. First is resolution number FY 2023-27, authorizing the borough manager to accept the Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation, ADEC, state revolving fund loan amendment to the existing SRF Clean Water Fund loan number 505041, allowing for the increase and combining of the loan amounts, creating loan number 505071 for the leachate treatment plant upgrade and Stage 3 landfill closure project in the amount of $6,162,265.
Move to adopt resolution number FY 2023-27.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Staff report, please.
Thank you.
Dave?
Dave?
The request for your consideration for the combination of this loan has actually been a very long process, which started out with the potential for getting grants and loans from the USDA. After we abandoned that process due to an exorbitant amount of paperwork and consistent additional requests for information, we had a relationship previously with the state of Alaska, DEC, and this SRF loan program. And the fact that they allowed us to keep the 1.7 in play from the previous loan really assisted us in gaining these extra funds. And hopefully these funds pay for and fund the closure, the temporary closure, the construction of the addition onto the leachate treatment plant for the aeration, so that we are able to clean up our process and start meeting the regulatory requirements of our discharge permit. We're doing this, this has been a long-term project, and it seems that the rules keep changing on us. Hopefully this resolves our issues and we're able to be compliant with our testing and sampling.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Dave. Assembly discussion? Roll call vote on the motion, please.
Mr. Delgado.
Yes.
Mr. Ledoux.
Yes.
Mr. Smiley.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Turner.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes 5 yes, 0 no's.
Thank you. Next is ordinances for introduction. This is ordinance number FY 2023-02C. An ordinance of the Assembly of the Kodiak Island Borough amending ordinance number FY 2023-2, fiscal year 2023 budget by amending budgets to account for various revenues that are over budget, providing for additional expenditures, and moving funds between projects. The wishes of the Assembly. Scott?
Move to advance ordinance number FY 2023-02C to public hearing at the next Assembly regular meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Staff report, please.
Our finance director is here tonight to go through this ordinance with you.
Good evening. This is the last of the quarterly budget amendments for fiscal year '23. This is, you discussed it, the first item in the work session, and one of you talked about changing the general fund to the renewal and replacement fund. So if that's, there'll have to be either an amendment or an adjustment or something to that during your next meeting. But the first project on there is the $240,000 roof repair for the high school. The next one is a $15,000 transfer from buildings and grounds to the pool project. This is paid for the evaluation. The next one is a $10,000 transfer from building grounds fund to the East Elementary ceiling and wall fix in the gym. The next one is a $30,000 transfer from buildings and grounds to the North Star roof and skylight repair project. Staff's also asking for a $100,000 transfer from Fire Protection Area 1 to fund the Bayside Classroom Edition. And then there's a return of $251,000 of unexpended funds from the wall project at the hospital back to the regular hospital R&R fund. Any questions?
Thank you, Dora. Any discussion? Jeff, are you going to say? Okay. James?
Did you call on me before I raised my hand?
No, I saw it up.
Oh, okay. So there was a little bit of discussion during last week's work session to take that out of R&R, which is the fund that we're transferring into. So I guess my question would be, the only way to do that, instead of on line 9, changing that from general fund contingencies account to using fund balance out of account 469, renewal and replacement projects?
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
okay.
Go ahead.
So I would like to make an amendment to line 9 and the table of transfers for appropriations where it's 100-165 general contingencies to making that read from Fund 469 renewal and replacement projects fund balance.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Thank you. Discussion. Any comments other than what you've already stated, James?
No.
Larry?
I just want to say that a lot of this money that we're moving into accounts is because of emergency repairs to our facilities. And I think it's really important, and I appreciate all the work that's being done between, to make sure we're doing renewal and replacement. But I think it's important that we really take care of our buildings with preventative maintenance so that we don't have to spend a lot of money fixing things that are broken and unexpected. So I appreciate all the money and effort that's going into these things, but I wish we didn't have to do it on an emergency basis. I'd rather develop a plan where we could take care of these things before there's a problem. Thank you.
I gotta clarify, Larry. This is only emergency. This is a new roof. This is not an old roof. This is a new roof put on the high school that was damaged, and nobody's come forward to acknowledge who did what. That's why it's an emergency. Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call vote on the amendment, please.
Mr. Ledoux?
Yes.
Mr. Smiley?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Delgado?
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes, 5 yes, 0 no's.
Okay, now we have the main motion as amended before us. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Smiley?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Delgado?
Yes.
Mr. Ledoux?
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes, 5 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. Next ordinance for introduction is ordinance number FY 2024-1, receiving the 2023 certified real and personal property tax roll, levying ad valorem property taxes for the tax year 2023, consisting of an area-wide tax, Woman's Bay Fire Area Tax, a Woman's Bay Road Service Area Tax, a Bayview Road Service Area Tax, a tax in the Fire Protection Service Area Number 1, a Menasha Bay Road Service Area Tax, a tax in Service Area Number 1 roads, a Woodland Acres Street Light Service Area, a tax in the Service Area Number 2, a tax in the Kodiak Island Borough Airport Fire Service Area, a tax in the Trinity Island Street Light Service Area, and a tax in the Mission Lake Tide Gate Service Area, levying commercial aircraft tax, providing for the collection of tax due in 2023, and setting the dates when taxes become delinquent. Wishes?
Move to advance ordinance number FY 2024-01 to public hearing at the special meeting of the June 8th, 2023.
Is there a second?
Second.
Jeff, thank you. Staff report, please. Dora?
Once again, our finance director is here.
Evening. I've completed all the taxable valuations for all the service areas. They already have a mill levy that's set at a rate. The second section there starts on line 45 is the one that has to deal with the area-wide rate, and you have not set those yet. So when you set those, I'll be able to fill in those mill rates and the total area-wide tax amount.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, let's do roll call vote on the motion, please.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Delgado?
Yes.
Mr. Ledoux?
Yes.
Mr. Smiley?
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes, 5 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. Next is ordinance number, oh, shoot. Public hearing, get confused here. Ordinance number FY 2024-1, adopting the budget for, pardon me? 02, okay. Okay, mine says 1, 2. Thank you. Adopting the budget for fiscal year 2024 and appropriating from all borough funds. The wishes of the assembly. Scott?
Move to advance ordinance number FY 2024-02 to public hearing at the special meeting of June 8th, 2023.
Is there a second?
Second.
Jeff, thank you. Staff report, please. Dora, you're on again.
Yay. So before you is the appropriation part of the budget. The first part's the levy part. This is the appropriation part where you determine how much money each one of the departments and areas within the borough, such as the revenue, special revenue funds and the enterprise funds, get to spend for the year. What you're looking at should be marked L2, which includes additional staff adjustments primarily to salaries, and because we kept the mill rate at the 10.75, which was our original manager-directed budget. We did the same here, so there was a small adjustment in the transfer to debt service, and I think that was it. Maybe an increase to R&R.
James?
So there, I guess I should hit it once, not twice. So I have the version 2 and the version 1. At some point, I'm gonna ask to, or I'm gonna move to go to version 2, but I wanted to hear some discussion from everybody else to see what their thoughts were at this point. And then I have a couple of items that I wanted to change, but I'm not going to do that tonight at this point. I'm going to wait until we get into next week's work session to discuss those. But as far as tonight, I'm going to, unless somebody else does before me, move to version 2. So just for everybody's.
Thank you. Further discussion? James?
Well, then I guess it looks like I'm going to move to substitute version 1 of the manager's budget for version 2.
Substitute version 2 for?
Version 1 for version 2. So I'm switching from version 1 to version 2 of the manager's budget.
Okay.
Level 2.
2.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we, just to clarify, you don't need to make an amendment because this has not been formally introduced yet to
Perfect.
to the public. So this is the first time, technically, level 2 is before you.
Level
Because
2 is
based on your discussion.
Yeah, that
at
wasn't
work
said, so
session.
that's why I wanted to move. Didn't say which level we were talking about tonight.
So it's level 2.
Perfect,
That's
thank
what's-
you.
For
That's what's
clarification.
before you, for clarification. Thank you.
Thank you. Level 2. Okay, so that's what's being moved forward to public hearing. So,
Mr. Mayor, and also for clarification, our special meeting, this will be moved to public hearing at the special meeting next week. Just so you know that the special meeting will go before the work session, so we don't anticipate additional discussion after the special meeting on the budget. So.
That's fine. Most of my discussion is going to be with Dora, so I'll do it during the week next week.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Assemblymember Turner.
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, any further discussion? Roll call vote on the motion.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Mr. Delgado,
Yes.
Mr. Ledoux,
Yes.
Mr. Smiley,
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes. 5 yes, 0 no's.
Thank you. At this time, I'll call a 5-minute recess, and when we come back, will be the appointment to the Kodiak Island Borough Assembly. Thank you. Okay, I'll call to order the meeting, and we have the appointment to the Kodiak Island Borough Assembly, and at this time, I'd like to open nominations, and Scott.
Nominate Ryan Sherritt for the assembly position.
Okay, go ahead.
Nominate Bo Whiteside for the assembly position.
Go ahead.
Steve Avey for the
Ames.
for the assembly position.
Go ahead.
And Rebecca Skinner for the assembly position.
Thank you, and with that, I'll declare nominations closed. Everybody's nominated.
James had his hand up. I don't know if he still wanted to say something or not.
James, did you have your hand up?
Oh, no.
Okay. James.
Okay, Mr. Mayor and members of the Assembly, I have 3 for Mr. Sherritt and 2 for Mr. Whiteside. I don't have majority, and the code requires a majority vote. The code also states that if I don't get a majority, I drop the lowest person or the lowest vote. However, then that will leave me with 1 person. So I would suggest that
Revote?
we'll do a revote, okay, until we get a majority.
Okay.
Thank you.
Please vote again.
It's the same result. We can keep going, or you may choose to postpone it until you get a full, the 6 assembly members.
We have a problem because one of the current assembly members here will be leaving, and we'll be down to only 5 again.
Let's have another ballot.
Would you like to recast your votes?
I don't have a problem with that. I'd suggest we try again.
Same result.
Okay, with James.
Move for a voice vote. Don't be shy.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of Ryan Sherritt, say aye.
Aye.
I'm unclear whether we have 4 votes there or
We
not.
still have 3.
Okay.
So I would move to have the mayor vote in this. There's no conflict.
The code states that the mayor breaks the tie, however, you don't have a tie, so that may be a violation of your rules.
Okay.
Voice vote. By person, instead of an
Do a roll call vote? Okay. Is there a second to that?
Second?
Second.
Okay, I'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Delgado,
Whiteside.
Mr. Ledoux,
Ryan Sherritt.
Mr. Smiley,
Ryan Sherritt.
Mr. Smith,
Rebecca Skinner.
Mr. Turner.
Mr. Sherritt.
Okay, we still don't have a majority.
Okay, with that, I'd like to continue this next Thursday.
At a special, would you
At
like
the
me to
special
add it
meeting.
to the special meeting?
Yeah, we have a special meeting, so we'll have to go to a vote then. We'll have at least one additional different member. I don't know quite
Okay.
what else to do with that right now.
Could we entertain a motion to postpone this to the next regular?
Okay,
meeting,
entertain a
please?
motion to postpone this to the, that would be June 8th special meeting. Jeff, what are you going to say?
Move to postpone this decision until the June 8th meeting. Second. Mr. Turner?
James?
So, can you clarify for me, the code says that after the vote, if there is not a majority, then you drop one from the list. Or we could go,
Yeah, technically, I thought 2 dropped from the list because no vote.
So we're basing this on the last roll call vote, right? Voice vote?
yes,
Roll call vote.
Yes.
So we got one for Ms. Skinner and one for Mr. Whiteside. So I can't drop both Mr. Whiteside and Ms. Skinner, because that leaves one person and we can't do a revote on just one person. That would force the others to vote.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor. It's been moved and seconded. I've just heard from the gentleman next to me that he'd be interested in entertaining an executive session. Now, what's the wishes of the assembly?
Can I ask a
Larry?
question? The first time we voted, okay, and all were nominated, if somebody got 0 votes, they would be eliminated, would they not?
yes.
Well, yes.
Okay.
You're right. So the roll call vote, then we should have
Conflict.
not allowed.
Well, and then the second time we voted, another person should have been eliminated.
No, because it's the same result as the first one.
Yeah.
But you still had somebody that got 0 votes. I mean,
2.
2, it's the same. And even for the third vote.
Well, the roll call vote, though, would have eliminated one.
The roll call vote is different because technically we should have not considered Ms. Skinner because technically she was dropped the first time.
So if we technically should not included her, and we did, doesn't that invalidate the entire vote?
Correct.
Yes.
So right now, you're still at,
3-2.
we're still
So-
3-2.
We have an option.
Sure.
Jeff was asking about an executive session. James?
So I appreciate wanting to go into executive session. There is a red line on our agenda. If you want to read that, then that would negate us going into executive session unless we're just going to talk about one of them.
I thought it was just going to be procedure, not,
Well, I don't know. We didn't say why we're going
Yeah.
into executive session.
yeah,
Because if
Mr.
it's-
Ryan Sherritt requested public discussion
Correct.
on him.
Correct.
So,
And I think, Mr. Mayor, members of the Assembly, if your plan is to go in to just discuss procedure, I don't think that qualifies for executive
Okay.
session.
Thank you, that's where I was getting at. But unless we're just going to talk about one of the applicants in private and come out of executive session, there's really no reason.
okay, the last vote was declared ineligible because the two that received no votes were technically eliminated off of the list, and there was only 2 people to vote for. Mr. Ryan Sherritt and Mr. Bo Whiteside. So is it the wish of the Assembly to take another?
Right now, we have a motion on the floor, which is to
Postpone.
postpone this next week. And just to clarify that there are only 2 candidates that will be carrying forward if we postpone this to a special meeting.
I didn't make the motion.
Who made the motion to postpone?
Turner
No, that was Mr.
Smiley.
Arndt.
I have Mr. Smiley
Yeah.
as for the postponement.
So,
I'd
Larry?
I'd like to have another roll call vote. If we had one that was invalidated, then we should do it again.
If I can withdraw my motion, I will.
Okay.
Okay. Larry, I think. So, that was Joe?
Joe.
Okay. Joe, you wish to withdraw? Okay,
Okay.
okay.
So-
So, motion's been withdrawn. So now we're back to,
So we're doing another roll call vote and
yes,
for 2 candidates.
yes,
Okay.
Mr. Ryan Sherritt and Bo Whiteside.
Okay. Mr. Delgado,
Whiteside.
Mr. Ledoux,
Ryan Sherritt.
Mr. Smiley,
Ryan Sherritt.
Mr. Smith,
Mr. Sherritt.
Mr. Turner.
Mr. Sherritt.
Okay, we have a majority for Mr. Sherritt. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. With that, at this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Ryan Sherritt to come forward for the administration of oath of office to the newly appointed assembly member.
Okay, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Ryan Sherritt,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the United States of America,
the laws of the state of Alaska,
the laws of the state of Alaska,
and the ordinances of the Kodiak Island Borough.
and the ordinances of the Kodiak Island Borough.
I will honestly, faithfully, and impartially
I will honestly, faithfully, and impartially
discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as Assembly Member
as Assembly Member
of the Kodiak Island Borough
of the Kodiak Island Borough
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. And I just need you to sign the oath of office. Congratulations.
Ryan.
Thank you.
Congrats. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Can you sit up here now?
No.
No.
For the record, could you announce for the public as to when he actually is seated?
He takes office tomorrow.
Tomorrow morning?
Yes.
So, okay. Next item we have is the hiring of a Bayside Fire Chief at a salary step above the manager's authority. Scott, do you wish to, or
If I can find my slide. Move to authorize the salary placement of Fire Chief of the Bayside Volunteer Fire Department, new hire at range DBM 61, Step K.
is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Staff report, Amy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. After advertising and interviewing, the review panel has recommended a candidate that we feel is highly qualified to fill the position of Fire Chief at Bayside. I was allowed to offer that job at a step D, which was lower than the candidate wanted to accept, and so the candidate counter-offered. When a candidate counter-offers, that then goes back to the Fire Protection Board for their approval. They met last Thursday night while we were meeting and approved that salary level, and so now it goes to the Assembly for approval. He is asking for a step K. A step K
Thank you.
is $113,112, so that you can put some dollars and cents behind the letters. This is a very highly qualified and plenty of work experience coming in. This is actually a candidate that we have made a job offer to in the past, and he was unable to come, so it was a quick interview and a quick approval process from the Fire Board.
Thank you. Assembly discussion. I'd just like to add that I've also met the applicant when he was in town here 2 years ago, and both him and his wife. And they'll be a great fit for Kodiak. Also, the step K was 7 years ago, was what the fire board argued for before the Assembly for Howard Rue, who was fire chief for 5 years here. And he did an excellent job, and I expect the same out of this individual too. So I'm looking forward to working with him. Jeff?
Yeah, if I may, just out of curiosity, what would a step D placement be on the salary? If you have that available.
I certainly do. A step D is $88,900.
Thank you.
Any further discussion or questions? Roll call vote on the motion, please.
Mr. Delgado.
Yes.
Mr. Ledoux.
Yes.
Mr. Smiley.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Turner.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion carries 5 yes, 0 no's.
Thank you. Next item is approval of a letter of support to the Brother Francis Shelter of Kodiak Housing Assistance Program Grant, HAP application.
Move to approve
Scott.
a letter of support to the Brother Francis Shelter of Kodiak Housing Assistance Program, HAP, grant application.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Nova, I would guess I go to you for a staff report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the Assembly. At the last work session, Ms. Smith approached Mayor Arndt for a letter of support for their Kodiak Housing Assistance Program grant, and the next day she emailed me the letter, and the letter is in your packet. So we would like to ask for your support to this grant letter. Thank you.
Larry?
You know, I certainly am going to vote to support this, but I do think that we really need to reconsider requiring the Assembly to approve these letters. I remember many years ago when They did this to restrict the authority of the mayor. But, you know, sometimes when people write grants, and many organizations are doing it, they need it right away. And to not allow the mayor or the manager to write a letter of support for this kind of thing seems sort of silly. You know, if it involves borough money or facilities or something, but I really believe that down the road, we need to really take a look at this. And that's it.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
I agree with Larry.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call vote on the motion, please.
Mr. Ledoux?
Yes.
Mr. Smiley?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Delgado?
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes, 5 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. With that, we are at citizens' comments again. Anybody wishing to come forward, please do at this time. The local number is 907-486-3231, and the toll-free number is 855-492-9202. Anybody wishing?
I just want to say, as a representative.
Your
of
name
Brother-
for the record, please.
Sorry, Susan Smith from the Brother Francis Shelter. I just want to say thank you for taking my letter under consideration on such short notice. We appreciate you, and my work wouldn't be possible without you, so thanks.
Thank you for coming forward. Anybody else wishing to speak?
I just wanted to, my name is Ryan Sherritt.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to thank the Assembly for the actions tonight and your confidence, but I'd also particularly like to thank those that also applied, Steve, Bo, and Rebecca. I would be remiss to not encourage others to apply when vacancies present themselves, and I encourage that if you want your voices heard, to go through this process, however long it may take. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ryan. Anyone else wishing to come forward? Carl?
Carlene McChesney. When I spoke, I didn't mean to step on any toes, but I just wanted to let you know who I favored, so thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Thanks for coming forward. Thanks for attending the meeting. Okay. Any other citizens' comments? Hearing and seeing none, I'll go ahead and... Oh, you got one? Okay.
You are now answering a call from the queue.
Good evening, Assembly meeting. You're on the air. Please state your name for the record.
Yes, do you hear me? Hello?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, hello. My name is Charles Davis, and first of all, I just want to thank you all for your public service. Secondly, I want to thank you also for increasing that student. We can't afford to cheat our students, and by not giving them a good, solid education for their future needs, then we're failing them. But anyway, I just want to thank you all, and I want to congratulate Mr. Sheriff for his appointment or his selection, and I look forward to working with him. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlie. Anyone else? Seeing none, close the citizens' comments, and announcements are, the Assembly special meeting is scheduled on Thursday, June 8th, 2023, at 6:30 in the Borough Assembly Chambers, which will be followed by a work session. The next regular meeting is scheduled on Thursday, June 15th, 2023, at 6:30 p.m. in the Assembly Chambers. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Oh, My fault. Assembly member comments.
Move to adjourn.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
No.
Hearing none. Assembly member comments.
I have no comments from me.
Okay, Larry?
So I just want to extend my appreciation to all those who applied for the assembly, and just to note that I believe there will be 3 assembly seats open in October for people to apply. Sometimes we've had only 1 or 2 people apply for seats, so thank you. That's all I have to say.
Jeff?
Yeah, thank you. I also am very appreciative of all the people that put their name forward and went through the process of applying for that vacant seat, and I would encourage those individuals and others in the community that are interested in applying for the 3 vacant seats that'll be coming up this fall. Also was very impressed with the statistics that Ms. Walters shared tonight about the support that that organization provides to seniors in this community, and I think that's something that we should all be grateful for, because I know we have an aging population here, and I think organizations that are providing support and services certainly are worthy of borough support continuing. Thank you.
Joe?
Yes, I also thank you for the work that you do with our nonprofits. Do a lot of work in this town, and I like to see that we keep funding them, and I wish we could get back to the previous levels that they were funded, the school as well. Thank you to staff for keeping us prepared, and I will say that this is going to be the first time now that since I've gotten on the assembly that we have a borough manager and a full assembly with the mayor. So congratulations to Mr. Sherritt for filling it out here. It's been a long, almost 2 years of struggle to fill these positions. So I encourage as well the other people to apply in October, and don't forget there are boards and commissions that if you don't get on the assembly, you can start by getting on boards and commissions to get your name known. I'm hopeful that we can start talking about being more inclusive, and by that I mean having people from the villages able to sit on the assembly even though they're in the village. One of the hopes that I have is to get this assembly to be more reflective of the community as a whole. We have a big Filipino community here that's at least 40% of the population, and I'd like to see some more representation there, as well as the Native population that has a lot of knowledge and skills. As many people know, we've been here for over 7,000 years, and when we're thriving, there was over 50,000 people here with 50 different settlements, and we lived well, and I think that some of that knowledge needs to be regained. So I encourage people from the villages and also the Philam community to start to apply, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. James?
No comment.
Okay. The only other thing I would add is there's 3 3-year terms on the assembly, and there'll be 1 2-year term, which should be the unexpired 2 years left on because I'm only filling this term out for mayor until October. So thank you. With that, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned at 7:45.